We're in the middle of July 2022 and the real estate market has shifted. It's cooled down a bit, still a seller's market, but it definitely has not crashed yet like what the news is trying to portray. So don't pay attention to any of that stuff. Listen to your local experts. And today we're gonna go over June 2022 Hampton Roads real estate market update. And this way you can be informed of what's going on and exactly what this means for you as a homeowner or a potential buyer. What's going on, guys? Tane the Digital Realtor here, aka The Handler, aka your favorite Hampton Roads Realtor. And today we're going to be going over June 2022 Hampton Roads real estate market update. And before we start, if you could, if my audio is good and my lighting and camera is good, please hit the thumbs up button, and as well comment down below on any of the questions that you may have in regards to everything that's going on. I'd love to hear your opinion and as well what your questions are and what your thoughts are. And most importantly, if you find this information valuable, please hit the subscribe button, and as well feel free to share it. This lets YouTube know that I'm doing a decent job, and as well it'll help me show this to other people that might find this information valuable, because I do this for absolutely free, and I just want to try to provide value to the homeowners and as well buyers that are out there that could use this information to help them with the real estate market here in Hampton Roads. But anyways, let's dive into it, because today we got a good one. So what we have here is our data directly provided from our MLS, and our MLS REIN Real Estate Information Network. So this is all data pertaining to Hampton Roads. Keep in mind that depending on the area that you're in within Hampton Roads will also depend on the data that you're going to be working with for your home, right? So one of the things that some people get mixed up is they'll use the overall market snapshot that we're going over, and they think that it portrays to their home. However, in reality, it doesn't, because they're in a different submarket and the market might be slower. And that's where, for me as an agent, I try to provide you value as much as possible, and majority of the time is free. So if you are a seller and you're just curious on what your data might look like for your specific property, just reach out. No obligations whatsoever, a free consultation. I'll let you know exactly, hey, this is how much you can sell for your home, and this is how quickly things are moving in your area, all right? But let's dive into it. So overall, what we've seen from May to June, because this is all June data, in comparison to May, we've seen a close to 20% increase in our active inventory, all right? If you recall the market update video for May, it was similarities in regards to that as well. We saw a 17% increase, right? So we're seeing the uptick in inventory, and we're also seeing the uptick in the rates, right? And this is, like we said, like I've said, this you'll only be able to find out as time goes, and this is something that is super crucial to pay attention to, because all you're hearing over the news is that the market's crashing. Right, as of right now, in July 2022, it's still a seller's market. It's just starting to balance out, and like I said, in certain submarkets you have seen it where it's definitely balanced out, but there's no signs of crashes anywhere. Even with the recession that might be happening, you're not really seeing the real estate market crashing. Sales prices are still going up. This is probably the first time in a little while where we've seen the median sales price down by 1%, right? But even then, one of the biggest factor when it comes to this is the supply and demand, right? So as you can see, in comparison to one of the really neat data that we have today with us, right? If you look at the MSI for June, that is at 1.33%, right? And that's essentially calculating what's gonna, the monthly supply of inventory, how many months you have until there's no inventory if no one else was to list. It's 1.33. We're in 5 straight months in a row where it has increased. However, one of the things that I was about to go over is the really cool thing that we're seeing is if you look at the comparison to inventory from, let's just say, pre-pandemic level. In 2017, you had 11,069 active listings. In June 2018, 10,133 active listings. All right, and in 2019, in June 2019, you had 9,308. In comparison to right now, 4,114. So during those times, there was never any talks about crashes, right? So why is it that the media is all talking about crashes now when we still have the lowest inventory, even with the inventory increasing, right? Yes, the rates are increasing, prices are increasing, but a majority of the times when there were crashes was when you had a ton of inventory and there just wasn't enough demand, and that's not the case here. And these experts could be wrong that no crash is going to happen. I could be wrong as well, but based off of what I'm seeing, we're not even anywhere near a balanced market, right? The inventory will need to continue trending up for quite some time, as you can see here. So what you're seeing right now, the active residential listings for June was 4,114. That's up 19.73% month over month, but still down 5.2% year over year. Last year was 4,327. That's really low on inventory. We got next the settle sales. That's up 4% month over month, but down 14.5% year over year in comparison to June 2021, where it was at 3,885, right? And like I said, a lot of it has to do with supply and demand in regards to these crashes. And what we're looking at as well for the pending sales for June, it was down 5.79% month over month, right? So 3,074. And again, this has a lot to do with the inventory increasing as well the rates increasing. And I suspect that this is going to continue happening, but it's going to take a little while for it to actually, balance out. And I wasn't a realtor when past crashes happened, but I have spoken to plenty of realtors that were around, and the signs are not anywhere similar to what they've seen in past crashes, all right? In the past crashes, you had a ton of inventory and just no demand. And when I'm talking about a ton of inventory, it's nowhere near even when we had a balanced market where it was 11,000 something active listings and you had 10,000 active listings. Nowhere, it was a lot more than that, right? In these other crashes that we've seen. And what you're also seeing, the new residential listings added to the market is 4,213. That's actually a month-over-month increase of 7.45% in comparison to May to June, but still a year-over-year decrease of 5.33. All right, and as I mentioned before, the MSI for June was 1.33, and that's up from 1.10 in May, but it's still down slightly year-over-year for 1.35. And the median days on market for residential listing was 9 months. Was 9 days for the month of June. It's up 1 day from the month of May, which was 8, right? And what we did see that went down, residential new construction sold in June was 292, down year over year from 333 as well. But overall, that's the quick snapshot of what's going on in the Hampton Roads market for June 2022. From my experience, selling a lot of houses, 100 plus homes, and we have some listings right now as well in certain submarkets. Sellers aren't used to what's happening right now, which I'm used to because I've seen markets like this where the days on market is longer, and it's important to be patient, but it's also important that you work with a experienced agent that's seen all sorts of market and knows when to be patient and knows when you might be overpriced, right? That's what your local expert is there for. But yeah, we're just starting to see, instead of, as I mentioned before in the past, instead of the 18, 20 offers you see in 1 day, you're getting 2 to 4 offers in a month period, right? Some days on market is longer than the other. What we've seen as well, to give you an example, some homes that were the days on market was less than 10 days, less than 2-3 months ago. Now you're seeing it close to average days on market, 20 something days, right? And this is where it's super important that you price it right from the beginning, so you as a seller have leverage negotiation wise. Because one thing that I always tell sellers, you have to think from a buyer's perspective. You go check out a property, you fall in love with it, you tell your agent, hey, can you look more into it for us? The first thing that they usually do is run a market analysis to make sure you're getting the fair value, and as well to make sure that most importantly that this actual transaction makes sense for you, right? And what most agents will come back with, if the days on market's low and you're priced underneath what other sales are happening in the area too, the agent's always going to recommend, hey, if you want to take this home off the market quickly, you need to put in your highest and best offer from the start, because a seller wouldn't make any decision week one on the market unless it was a ridiculous offer, right? So it's important that, as these markets start shifting, knowing when to test out the market, and depending on your situation, knowing when you need to go aggressive from the beginning, so this way you can have the leverage negotiation wise in regards to price and the terms. As you just saw in this video, the real estate market is quite interesting right now in regards to the inventory, the rates, the sales prices, the demand, everything that's going on. Now is probably the most important time that you have an experienced agent or an experienced team such as myself with the Digital Realtor team to be able to guide you through this home selling or as well buying process, because in this market where it's shifting, you need to be able to determine if you're a seller, if you're pricing the property right, if you're leaving any money on the table, or if if it makes any sense at all to even consider selling with all these recent changes. And as well, if you're a buyer, making sure that you're still not overpaying because you're working off of past data. And it's so important to make sure that you're making the right move. So most importantly, I'd be happy to buy and help you sell, but most importantly, let's chat to see if it makes any sense at all whatsoever for you to even consider buying and selling. Again, my name is Tane, the Digital Realtor with eXp Realty. If you found this information valuable and if you want to chat more, please reach out at the contact information below. And if you could, please like, subscribe, ring the notification bell if you found this information valuable, and comment down below on what your thoughts are.